How's it going, Habibis? Today we're going to just watch some replays, and I'm going to talk about a very interesting question that I keep getting in my comments. If you guys have any questions about these specific replays, you can ask them in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer them. I think all these duels are from Master 4 and 3, as well as the Duelist Cup. For those that don't know, we have been able to take this deck to Master 5. We're now in Master 3. Planning to get to Master 1 with it. And then I could start maybe doing some other stuff, doing Dragoon Magia, doing my branded list. But right now, this is the best Dark Magician deck I have ever played in my life. Hands down, I have to say, it feels really, really good playing it. I think that this is even better than peak Branded Fusion DM when Branded Fusion was at 3. This is just everything that I've wanted in a DM deck. Now, with that being said, to address the question that I keep getting, and when I say keep getting it, I've probably gotten it maybe 4 or 5 times now. Maddie, is this deck actually good? Because I've tried it, and I've lost a lot. I keep bricking, I keep this, this deck sucks. In other words, that's what some people have suggested. And as I dug to the bottom of it, to kind of give you a spoiler, that's not the answer. It doesn't suck. You guys have seen my VODs. If you guys want to, they're on twitch.tv/KingMaddie. The last 2 streams, I forgot the number. I think we went 24 and 11. I had it written down somewhere. But we were doing really well with it. I don't want to blow smoke up anyone's rear end, okay? I want to be very transparent with you guys. I have lost with this deck a lot. I have had, 2 and 7 streaks with it. I've lost 4 in a row with it. It happens. The Tenpai player has that too. It happens to the best of us. But you need to know how to rebound from those. And you also need to know how to basically stop the damage, stop the bleeding. And I think a lot of people, they kind of start making some mistakes. And something that I've always said when it comes to playing Dark Magician, you don't have the luxury of making mistakes. If you're playing, Tenpai, Yubel, Sprite, then yeah, you can make some errors. You can misplay a couple times and still win because your deck covers for you. We don't have that luxury as DM players. We cannot do that. We have to play perfectly. And even then, you need to have a little luck. It's a card game, of course, and you have some luck, and you have some good hands. But if you want a deck that's just going to play through, 3-4 hand traps, that's not going to happen consistently with DM. It's just not. So I'm just trying to be realistic with you guys. But that does not mean that you cannot win with this deck. We've had a lot of success with it. A lot of other great YouTubers and streamers and just, casual DM fans have had a lot of success playing this deck. There are a lot of decks on Master that are, Dark Magician decks that are doing really well. So it is possible, but you need to practice with it. I think a lot of people don't realize that you gotta actually try and you have to actually want it to be successful. Because if you want a deck where you can just pick it up and start winning right away, this isn't it for you. This isn't the deck for you. I'll just be perfectly transparent. And they scoop here. We're gonna go into Baron de Flor and kind of beat him up here. So we had a good situation before they scooped. Dark Magician requires a good pilot. I don't think that should be news to anybody, especially if you watch my channel. I think I mentioned it a lot that Dark Magician players that are good are some of the best Yu-Gi-Oh players. If those players were to basically put their energy to playing a good deck, like a meta-relevant deck, they'd be winning YCSs. Because realistically, you have to have so much knowledge on different decks, where to disrupt, what the opponent's trying to do, how to play against these decks, how's your matchup favor against these decks. You have all this knowledge and a little bit of luck here. They ended up ripping Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. We bait out an Ash. It's a card game. Like I said, you got to get lucky. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good. But anyways, though, those players that play this deck successfully, they are good at Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think a lot of people see DM and think, okay, it's a nostalgia deck. It's an old school deck. So therefore, it must not really require too much skill. And it probably is simple combos and this and that. And it is, our Rainbow Bridge Magician Souls combo is about as simple as it gets. However, it still takes a certain pizzazz. You gotta know when to do certain things. You gotta have a feeling for playing DM. Some of the people that I talked to, some of the people had just started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And they were, basically complaining about the deck. Some of the people had never played Dark Magician before, so they didn't really have a good feel for how the deck plays. And these are very important things. You have to know what you're doing. And I just wanted that to be very clear as day, so that nobody comes back and says, Maddie, I sold my left kidney to craft this deck, and I'm not winning easily. If you sold your left kidney, I'm really sorry, man. Like, I'm sorry. It is what it is. But realistically, DM doesn't play through hand traps well. That's why, I love the called by and, the cross out. You got to play those because I feel like there's no other way to play through hand traps with Dark Magician. I mean, there's a lot of combos that I've went over on my channel already where you could basically bait stuff out. I think Diviner's great for baiting out a lot of hand traps. People love to Ash and Imperm Diviner because it's a very scary card to go up against. They don't know what you're playing at first, so that's something positive about Dark Magician. There are certain ways to bait out a hand trap, but how many hand traps can you really bait out with Dark Magician? Usually not too many. Usually you're gonna, maybe get them, get through one, maybe two, but you're not playing through three, and realistically, even through two, probably not making too much of a board. And a lot of times, one stops you. So that's I just want it to be clear. I want you guys to understand. You might lose with this deck. You might, get frustrated. Things might get tough. But if you keep practicing with it, you really could find a lot of success with it. And that's kind of what my whole philosophy has been playing Dark Magician. It's because it's not as linear as other decks, right? So like, I play dinos, you guys know that. And my dino deck, I've spruced some things up. You see a little Maddie, a little Habibi pill in there once in a while, but realistically, a lot of the decks are the same. You look at a hero deck, another deck that I play, all those decks are the same, right? But Dark Magician, you could change some things up with it, right? And there's certain little tricks here, like even this. I didn't banish with the Chaos Angel because I knew that I was gonna need to do that 3,000 or 2,900 damage with Dragoon. It's little things like that, and that's such a simple thing, but I'm just saying, little things like that can be the difference between winning and losing a game, right? And you need to practice to get to that point to where you feel comfortable with it. All right, so we addressed the elephant in the room. All right, we're all on the same page. We know we're gonna have to work really hard to win with this deck, but it is gonna be very fulfilling when we do. DM wins are much more fulfilling than winning with a meta deck. I'll tell you that every day of the week. One win against Tenpai with this deck is worth 20 losses, man. I swear. I hope you don't take 20 losses, but you get what I'm saying. It really feels good to beat the meta decks because you're not meant to beat them. You're not supposed to win, right? And when you do, you feel really good about it. And here we go with a little bit different of a path. We ended up basically hard drawing into Toy Tank, and we made some plays with it, which is pretty cool. And we also were able to get a lot of card advantage by sending our Rainbow Bridge. We got Ruby Carbuncle here, and our opponent scoops. We got Grangular, we're about to Windlock, and we got Dragoon, we got Secret Village. Nothing they could do. All right, so what I want to talk about now is, first of all, I'm going to show you guys what the absolute best board we can set up is. Right, you're going to see it in just a second. But what I want to talk about is, what's the actual peak of this deck? Where do we go from here? I'll be honest with you guys, I have no freaking idea. I really don't. Because I feel like we've done so much. And look what we drew into. We drew into Soul Servant and Rainbow Bridge, which is insane. You're going to see how we're going to get Rainbow Bridge to the graveyard. Can you guys guess? Can you guys guess? Put in the comments below if you guess how we get Rainbow Bridge in the graveyard from here. If you know, then I'll know that you've been studying. You know your stuff. But anyways, what's the peak of this deck? Gosh, it's hard to say, man. We might be at it. I don't know. I want to keep tinkering with things. I also don't want to mess things up because, like I said, since I made changes last week, the wins have gone up exponentially. We have really turned things around. We were kind of muddling around 500. Now we're winning, I feel like, 2/3 of the games, which is huge, which is so huge. I think that what I'll probably end up doing is experimenting with completely other different lists. I might leave this one be. I feel like I put so much work into it and so much thought into it. I don't want to say it's perfect because it's not. I'm sure there's things to improve on. I just feel like this is pretty dang good. So here, we're going to use Apgalone. If you guessed, use Apgalone's effect. We're turning the discard into an advantage. We're going to add Ruby and Secret Village. But then here, we're going to set Soul Servant, pop it with Baron de Fleur, activate its effect to draw 2 cards. Look at this, guys. Look at this. You got Secret Village, you got Baron, Dragoon, Grenguinol, and Tululu. You got Schism. You got a Called By and a Droplet set. I mean, sheesh. You got 5 cards in hand. That's crazy. That's crazy. But anyways, yeah, I think I'm going to experiment with other DM builds because I feel really good about this one. I feel like we did a lot. Here we're going to use the Schisms effect to send the Dark Monster. Our opponent, they almost played around the Secret Village, you know, by summoning the Diablo Star. But we just had too much. We had way too much. We're going to go over this one real quick, and then we're going to call it a day. We're going to talk about the deck or I'll show you guys the deck profile at the very end. But realistically, it's pretty much the same as the previous one. We've made our changes, and we discussed them in previous videos, guys. So if you haven't seen them, be sure to check them out. You're just trying to, look, as you see here, you're just trying to get as much advantage as you can. We drew into another toy box. It worked out perfectly. Guys, when you're playing this deck, you have to always just play for that next card. I think one of the best things that we did was making it a 50 card deck or going above 40. I think that helps the deck immensely because of the number of garnets we play. I really think it helps. Also adding in another key combo piece. I dare say that Magician Souls and Rainbow Bridge is almost as equal to Magician Souls and Toy Box. And you guys know what Magician Souls and Toy Box can do. It cooks. Something interesting we do here, actually. We use Dragoon's effect to pop Magnamut, and we negate it, discarding our Rainbow Bridge. So we negate Dragoon's effect, negate and destroy. Obviously, Dragoon doesn't get destroyed. He gets 2 pops because we summoned it off a ref. We still get to use the effect, and we get Secret Village of the Spellcasters. So our opponent got to draw some cards off of Maxi. No problem. Let's see what they do here. Normal summon Pydra, go to battle phase, don't read Toy Box, pop the Pydra, set 4 pass. Secret Village and Dragoon, man, is just, it's so hard to run over. It's so hard to run over. Verte's still alive, so we're able to go into our second copy of Dragoon by sending the Magical Eyes Fusion. At this point, you know, if they hit me with the, what's it called, the Dimensional Prism, is that the one, or Dimensional Cut, where I take the damage? Then you know what? That's the only way I could have lost this one. Double Dragoon, man. Double Dragoon. So, feels good. Deck feels really good. Let me show it to you guys. All right, Habibi, so this is the deck list. If you guys skip to the end, then Godspeed. You know, you missed the whole point of the video because that's kind of what we were talking about. In summary, if you did skip to the end, I'll tell you what we summarized and talked about this video. And that's, you got to practice to be good with this deck. You have to be prepared. You have to know what you're doing. So go and get into yugioh Omega, watch videos, watch my videos, watch other goated streamers and YouTubers videos. There's so many great ones. You guys know the GOATs, Loza, Matchy. Those guys got so much sauce. Amongst others, tons of them. Watch those guys, learn from them, then try to apply those to either this deck or a deck that you make, whatever it may be. In terms of what we changed, not much. We took out Eternal Soul and Dark Magical Circle after we made it to Master. I wanted to be a little bit more competitive. I added in a Ghost Ogre, and I also added in Foolish Burial Goods, which basically acts as a 4th copy of Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. Wait, let's go on this one because this one's really rare. It's a 4th copy of Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, which just increases our probability of opening a Magician Souls, and basically you have a 4th copy of this. Also, you could use this to send Soul Servant, you know, potentially to get a Pot of Greed effect to draw 2. So pretty useful there. Other than that, deck list pretty much the same as last time. Like I was saying, guys, I don't know what I would change with this. I feel pretty good about it. The extra deck, you know, there's a lot of free spots. Usually the extra deck's really tight. I feel like Avramax can be changed, Dark Magicians can be changed. even Chaos Angel, you know, we went into it and he comes in handy, but, you know, you could potentially take him out. Realistically, the choices are yours. I really like the main deck. I think we're going to just ride this one into Master 1, hopefully, and we'll go from there. Guys, DM best deck. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys actually think or agree with what I said. Are higher tier decks, more meta relevant decks, are those ones more forgiving towards misplays? Let me know in the comments below if you guys agree with that. I like to have some good civil discussion about it, because I really think that you got to play damn near perfect with Dark Magician. That's what makes it tough. I'm sorry to burst some bubbles, but that doesn't mean you can't play the deck. Practice makes perfect. Keep at it with the deck. I promise you, you'll find success. Anyways, until next time, Habibs, take care of yourselves. Go out of your way and make some of these days special. Peace and love.